Look at this story in Blacklock's. Media double dip on grants. New tax changes will allow media to double dip on taxpayer subsidies, the Department of Finance confirmed yesterday. Amendments inserted in a 336-page budget bill will see some publishers draw subsidies equal to 100% of newsroom costs. It still is a bit sticky, Senator David Richards, New Brunswick, earlier told the Senate National Finance Committee. I've been a writer and I've written 30 books, so I know how this works. It's often very subjective on how you qualify or don't qualify for certain types of grants. So, what? I mean, look at this. Look at this. Double dipping was intended to meet policy objectives, said the Finance Department. It did not explain. Publishers who stand to benefit from the tax change did not report the fact. Past payouts under the Aid to Publishers program included, get this, $1.5 million to Canadian Living magazine, $1.25 million to Maclean's, $1.14 million to Reader's Digest, $873,000 to the Hockey News, $855,000 to Ontario Farmer, $739,000 to Chatelaine, $650,000 to Good Times Magazine for seniors, $500,000 to Toronto Life. It goes on. I think there's a correlation between magazines that take free money from the government, becoming the most boring magazines, and they become the most Trudeau magazines, the most pro-Trudeau magazines, and they lose public support. I mean, do you really know anyone, other than maybe a dentist's office, that gets Maclean's magazine anymore, and the dentist probably gets it for free? Because they're not writing for you anymore. They're writing only for one man, and that man's name is Justin Trudeau. By the way, I was talking to a lawyer for Maclean's magazine the other day who says they only have 14 staff left at the whole company. How can you take $1.25 million in bailout money when you don't even have a payroll that big? Someone's putting a lot of cash in their jeans. Well, who has a bigger ego than Trudeau? And who has more money than Trudeau? And really, who has more critics that he'd like to pay off than Trudeau? Well, how about one of the richest and most irritating men in the world, Mark Zuckerberg, the lizard-like founder of Facebook? And he's decided to get into the media payoff game too. All left-wing outlets, of course. I mean, he's only going to give money to the left. And I promise you this, you'll start to see a lot more pro-Facebook coverage in those outlets, or at least no more criticism of Facebook. Here's a story about it in the Globe and Mail. New initiative will see Facebook pay 14 Canadian media outlets for content. Facebook is launching a trial news initiative in Canada in which the social media giant will pay publishers to link to selected articles on their websites. The company announced the partnership Tuesday with 14 Canadian media outlets. Under the News Innovation Test, Facebook will pay publishers an undisclosed amount to include selected links on their pages that bring users to news sites. The links will be provided on certain Facebook pages, such as the company's information hubs, but the partnership does not include links that are shared by the media outlets themselves. Okay, hang on a second. I don't think that's how it works. See, Facebook is providing the traffic to those websites. And with traffic, of course, the eyeballs, comes ad revenues. Facebook is literally linking and diverting people to these news websites, doing them a huge favor. Those news websites typically pay Facebook for ads to get that traffic. I bet most of them do. Because a Facebook link can turn into a river of cash for whoever the link is pointing at. That's how it works. How is it benefiting Facebook to send a customer from Facebook to a news site on a news story on a news site? Why would they pay for that? That's not real commerce. That's a payoff. That's a bribe. That's a kind of money laundering. Let me read. Facebook will compensate media companies and drive traffic to their sites, according to Kevin Chan, the company's head of public policy for Canada. It's the first time the News Innovation Test is being introduced anywhere, though Facebook is testing another feature known as Facebook News in other countries. Who's Kevin Chan? They never say in the article, oh, it's not important. I mean, he's the policy boss for Facebook Canada. He's the one spraying money and traffic at left-wing news sites. Pay no attention to the fact that he was a senior staffer in the Liberal Party before. I wonder why that wasn't mentioned in this article. Sure, it's just a coincidence. Small world, right? And all the sites that he's hosing money at are Liberal. What are the odds? I'll keep reading. The participating media outlets are a mix of large established publishers and smaller independent ones in both English and French. The 14 outlets are Blog.to, Canada's National Observer, The Coast, La Coopérative Nationale de l'Information Indépendante, Daily Hive, Le Devoir, Discourse Media, FP Newspapers, Nar City, the Narwhal Saltwire Network, The Sprawl, the Tyee, and Village Media. They're either begging money from Trudeau or begging money from Facebook. Actually, it's not an either or. They're begging from both. Every single one of those magazines is left-wing. And McGilchrist, co-founder and editor-in-chief of The Narwhal, said she is pleased with the partnership. Basically provides us with unconditional support to produce more journalism, she said. It's a pretty good deal from our perspective. Yeah, no doubt, sister. Normally you have to pay Facebook to drive traffic to your site. No one pays you to give traffic to your site. That would be like a billboard company saying, excuse me, can we pay you money to put up a billboard for the privilege of advertising your product for free? That's not commerce. That's called a bribe. Launched in 2018, The Narwhal is a nonprofit publication focused on environmental journalism. It is financially supported by memberships. Yeah, that's not quite true. It gets a lot of grants from left-wing anti-oil groups and now from Mark Zuckerberg. Ms. Gilchrist said the initiative is also a way for Facebook to promote strong journalism and combat misinformation on their platform, something the social media company has had issues with in the past. Well, now you're getting to it. This is about combating misinformation, by which they mean, of course, views they disagree with, people they disagree with. That's an environmental extremist, Emma Gilchrist, and she's calling anyone who disagrees with her theory of man-made global warming, that's misinformation. Hey, who would you rather have curating your news? That is, subsidizing some folks and censoring other folks. Justin Trudeau? Mark Zuckerberg? Well, now it's both. No wonder they all hate Rebel News so much. That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.